Okay, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a textured pinch pot. All right, very simple beginner project. First thing, you're going to start with a piece of clay and form it into a spherical shape, similar to making meatballs, right? All right, so it should be about the size of a baseball, tennis ball, or so, right? First step, right, you're gonna take your clay into your palm and push your thumb, right, towards your palm, right, to open it up, to create a void. Then you're gonna gradually pinch using your fingers on the outside, your thumb on the inside, and gradually rotate as you're pinching, right, to thin the walls, right? All right, so I'm going to continue to do this until I get a nice, consistent thickness. All right, so the idea of creating a pinch pot is to create a small bowl, right, that's even thickness throughout. All right, so my sides are pretty good. The bottom, however, is very thick still. I like to use a canvas to help me thin and open up the bottom. All right, so as I'm doing the bottom, I'm again rotating and working where I can see, right, my thumb blending and pushing the clay in. All right, so I'm always working on the side that's facing away from me. For those of you watching, right, you get an idea, right? When the clay is fresh, it's very pliable. You can easily blend and smooth, right, the surface, right? So first thing you're gonna focus on is thinning out your shape, making it a nice, even thickness throughout. The thinner it gets, the larger your vessel will become. All right. Also, the quicker it will dry. All right, so if you overwork your clay, right, you may find if it gets too thin and dry, it may begin splitting in some areas. Usually, if it's a fresh piece of clay, you have plenty of work time, unless you really handle it, crumble this all up and try to remake it. I wouldn't suggest that, because then, you know, all that moisture, right, if you see my fingers, you know, will come out, right? The surface of the canvas also will absorb some moisture, right? So once you have a nice shape, make sure the bottom is nice and flat, you're gonna use different tools that you find around the studio. And for this assignment, I like my students to explore a few basic tools, not any texture tools, right? But very unconventional tools for texture, right? To learn how to make texture with them. So grabbing a simple knife, wooden modeling tool, I could just create some textures, right? That's one texture from this tool, right? Here's a second texture from this tool. I turn it around, right? Here's a third texture from this tool. Okay, so repeating textures create different patterns. Okay, you could overlap textures to create more surface dimension, right? And as you do this, right, you may discover certain tools are really interesting, certain tools work better than others, or you might find a texture that you really like, which you can incorporate into some of your other work. Okay, so textures are really fun. If you find anything around your house that looks like it has an interesting texture, this is a perfect project to explore and play around with. Right? So there's a simple pinch pot, right? I would sign the bottom and it's ready to go, right? Not too much to clean up. If you have anything on your edge, right, little splitting, right, you could just burnish with your finger to really soften and smooth, right, that area out, okay? And we would like to celebrate the imperfections with the process, the mark making. Okay, so don't try to hide, right, the artist's hand, right? Showcase that in your work for this assignment. There we go. Hope you enjoyed.